Video 2. Yesterday, this second video, but we're basically going to go back to what we were talking about yesterday with parts. When my phone cut off on me from being too hot, I completely forgot about some other parts and a little bit more in depth about some parts that I already have, because when I cut the phone off, I went straight to working on the engine, and then I re-recorded an hour later, and then re-watching the video, I realized that there were some things that I left out. So we'll start with the motor mounts. I realized that I didn't talk about the cheap motor mounts. These are just a set of these are basically Dirty Dingo sliders, but this is Amazon's cheap version of the same exact thing. I put them on last night. Basically, and these even come, they tell you which side it goes on so that you don't get them confused backwards. They just slide right over the stock clamshell mounts that I showed you yesterday. They just slide right over, right into place and bolt in. Nothing fancy. I think those were $40 or so. There's an adapter for running your factory power steering line, high pressure line from the truck on the older pumps to the new pumps. I don't think I have it yet. I may not even need it. Looking at this one and looking at this one, they look the same, but we'll find out. But you can get an adapter, I think it's $15, that screws in back here. Oh, where is it? I got stuff in the way. Sorry. Screws in there, just an adapter, and then you take that power steering hose and screw it on to the back of that. That's what I had to do with the power steering pump in my CUDA to make that factory line work. The computer thing, make sure your computer is a blue, and it should say red on this side. This one's been painted so you can't see it, but these are red and blue connectors. 03 and up with the drive-by wire setups, they switch to green and blue, I think. Should even show you on the harness. The connectors themselves on the harness. So you got red, plug it into the red spot on the computer, and you have blue. That's for your 99 to 02 setup, drive-by cable. Like I said, 03 and up is green and blue, I think. It's green and something else. You want red and blue if you're doing drive-by cable with a red and... Oh my god, I'm being a horrible cameraman today. When you're doing red and blue. Well, my phone's telling me it's overheating again, so let's see if I can be a little bit quicker. What else? I was thinking about everything last night that I forgot to mention in the first video. And of course I can't remember now. You ever work on your car during the day, and then you go to lay down at night, and you think about something that you completely forgot about when you're working on your car, and then you can't go to sleep? That's basically how I was with this video last night. I was remembering all the things I needed to reiterate for parts, and now I'm going blank. But the big thing I wanted to show y'all was those knockoff motor mounts. You'd be surprised if you just go to Amazon and you type in 1985 Chevy C10 LS swap parts, or put in your vehicle, there's a vehicle filter, put in a 1985 Chevy C10 and then filter, type it, and then go to search bar, type in LS swap parts, and then click your vehicle to filter through the parts. And then that's how those motor mounts come up, and then other pieces like headers and oil pans and stuff will come up. Strongly suggest do not get the GM muscle car oil pan. All it is a knockoff of the truck oil pan. Find you an F-body oil pan. I'm trying to, oh, that was something else I wanted to talk about. The cam, I'm kind of worried that the valve springs aren't, you know what? Watch me take off the valve covers and we'll see what's under there, because that's been bugging me too. 10 millimeter, right? I think I've done enough of these to know. 9 times out of 10, I'm probably wrong, and I gotta walk back and forth. Oh my goodness. These are 8 millimeter. I was thinking of the coil pack bolts. And then watch, it's gonna be 9 millimeter. Oh, trying to do everything one-handed. Like I said, I try to make these videos where I don't have to edit them and everything just gets straight to the point. This, obviously, might be easier. Well, it'd be faster if I use my impact. But I'm one of those people that apparently likes to make things harder than they need to be. And I'm being a horrible cameraman today. At least you know what my floor looks like. The CUDA leaks power steering fluid like no other from the 50-year-old steering gearbox. But, oh my goodness, that's just how it goes. And my phone, I accidentally pressed off. Anyways, back to it. This is typically the part of editing where you're supposed to hit that go faster button to zoom past all this. And maybe y'all can just hear my voice. Oh, okay, yeah. I'd say it's got the good valve springs in it. Well, the valve springs that hopefully are the correct lift. Looks good to me. I'm most likely going to paint those valve covers wrinkle black, crinkle black, wrinkle black, whichever one it is. Oh, okay. Here's something else. So the oil pan, it came with this. This goes up in the fuel filter housing. This is what your oil filter screws onto. I have a spare filter for 5.3, 4.8, 6.0, whatever over there. And oh my goodness, focus already. Can we focus? No, we're not gonna focus. And I tried to screw it into factory style filter, and it didn't screw in, which that was an issue on the S10 I just did. That oil pan it was basically like this, and it took this like $15 K&N filter. Yes, you can just take the one out of the oil filter housing on the old pan with an Allen wrench in the middle, but I don't have that size Allen wrench, so I'll just tell the guy to get the K&N filter. I mean, that's a great filter anyways. So what else? I'm trying to think of more specific things. These Amazon harnesses. Oh, okay, that's what I was gonna say. These Amazon harnesses, they're actually set up for the LS1, LS6 car engines. So they actually have a 5-plug mass airflow hookup on the harness, and so make sure you get mass airflow for an LS1 or LS6. Basically, you need 98 to 02 with an LS. Trying to make sure I get all the part stuff in this. Oh, I mean, this might help some. So these are specific. So you can also take these if you go to ICTBillet.com and go to there. Oh my goodness. Wow, what's going on today? You go to their C10 section. They have these specific. So these are just swap plates. Those bolt to the side. Those bolt in the same way these do, but then you mount your factory mounts. Then you take those mounts and you mount them straight onto the plate and then bolt them into your clamshell mounts. I used those on the S10 I just swapped that had the same clamshell mounts. Oh, over here. So just went with those again. Plus those are cheap enough, and just send those back. I know I talked to you all about throttle body. Oh, what else? Just want to make sure I get all the parts. Here's that. So this is yesterday when I was talking about splicing or chopping up the upper radiator hose for your coolant crossover. This is the piece. And the gnats are all in my face. That's all it is. That's on Amazon too. Like I said, you just type in LS swap parts and then filter through your vehicle, and most of this stuff will come up. This is the fuel filter. This is by that company that I got the fuel fittings and stuff for, that Evil Energy. This is also on my CUDA. Do not get like the suggested clamp that they say. It's like 6mm or 10mm. I got the 6mm one for my car, and it doesn't fit. It's way too small. And then so I told this guy to get the 10mm one. He got it, and it was way too big. So I just took the rubber insulator piece, I guess you would call it, out of my clamp that I had for my CUDA, and I added it to his to clamp it down and hold it in place. I honestly couldn't tell you which one would fit it, because I bought two and neither of them fit. So if you figure that out, let me know. But that's how I made this one work. And this is a cheap fuel filter, and it takes those barb fittings. I believe that is it as far as parts. I just really wanted to make sure I talked to you all about those motor mounts, and then getting the correct red blue computer. I am a huge Gen 3 guy. I've never touched a Gen 4. Thankfully, I've never came across a Gen 5. There's actually a guy that contacted me a while back when I first started doing these swaps, and he wanted to put a Gen 5 in a OBS Chevy, and he bought the engine maybe like 2 days before he contacted me, and I didn't know much about them. I started researching them, and there was just things that made it way it would have made it way too difficult on his end, money wise, to do the swap with all the extra stuff he would have had to buy. You got to go directly through PSI and get a harness. Spear Tech might make a harness, but the harnesses are expensive. Computers are expensive. There's a Gen 5 stuff is just a pain. Gen 4, you just got the AFM DOD, and then you got the front timing cover with the cam sensor. There's just a little bit more to it, and computer and harness wise, it's not as simple as just going to Amazon and getting the 250 harness and the eBay computers, because those are 58 reluctor wheel, 58 tooth reluctor wheel, as the Gen 3 is 24. So if you're new to this, newer, or you just want to do it as cheap as possible, stick with Gen 3. Gen 3 is all I mess with. It's all I care to mess with. Parts you can get everywhere online for far cheaper than anything. I'm trying to think on my CUDA. I'd say into my CUDA swap, I'm maybe $2,500 into the whole swap. That's running and driving. The amount you spend on your swap will solely be dictated by how much you spend on your engine and transmission at the beginning. If you spend $3,500 on your engine because you wanted, I'd say an LS3, but LS3s are more than 3,500 used. Say you spend 4,500 on a used LS3 because all over the internet, that's the new 5.3. Is, oh, you gotta have an LS3. No, stop. No, you don't. Get you an LQ4. See if I can find it. Get you an LQ4. Can't tell if I'm pointing at it. I'll know when I rewatch this. They're 4-inch bore, just like an LS3. Technically, I like to say this makes a lot of all these Gen X and boomers upset, but technically that's an LS3, just iron block. Cry if you want to. That's what it is. Get you an LQ4 for $1,000. Put you a set of LS3 heads on it and an LS3 intake. LS3 for a fraction of the cost. Amazing how that works. Get you a 4L80, don't get you a 4L60 unless you get it built. A lot of cars though, 4L60 is kind of the only option if you don't want to hack up your trans tunnel, which I had to do to my CUDA. We'll see how long this guy's 4L60 lasts. But now I'm going to pull this, well, I gotta move that out of the way. I have no idea where I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna pull this out, pull the transmission out. I'm gonna put the starter on, I'm gonna put the transmission on, and hopefully get it mounted, and I'll be back with some more video for y'all. Alright, I am back after, I don't know how long enough. I got the engine and transmission, made it together, starter on. Just gotta finish putting on the transmission bolts. I got the torque converter put in, bolted up. It's ready to go in. Wanted to show you guys something. Well, I just wanted to show you the fittings. And then I would always recommend to cut this tab off. This tab right there gives you more clearance for the fitting and the transmission line to go this way. Obviously, it stick out like that. So this gives you more clearance to run transmission lines. 45-degree angle. Hold on. .45 It's typically the better one to use. It depends on how close these are to the firewall whenever you get it mounted in, but that gives you clearance. 90 degrees, obviously tight on the top one. It's okay on the bottom one. The top one, obviously, because this sticks out. The bottom one, not so much, but obviously sticks out better. Gives you more clearance this way, top and bottom. But those are what I use on the transmissions. They come with a little rubber O-ring that goes on the back. Haven't had any leaks out of mine yet, my daily driver. Oh, I found, this is that adapter for the back of the power steering pump to run your factory high pressure line. I don't think I'll need to put it on this one. We'll find out. I think next is putting it in. Another thing, you have to run a mechanical fuel gauge or a mechanical oil pressure gauge. This is the fitting, made in the best place on earth, old China. Just goes right there. You got to get the special socket to pull that out. But you can get it at the auto parts store. It's specific for that oil pressure gauge. Made in USA, huh? I doubt it. But you have to run a mechanical gauge for oil pressure. The harness doesn't come with the plug for a computer ran oil pressure gauge. And then, oh, where is it? And then this will be your mechanical water temp sensor if you want to run one. I'll show you guys in another video after engine and everything's in a setup that I run on the harness, that you plug a little like a code reader Bluetooth thing into the OBD port, and then I have a tablet with a app that runs my gauges on the tablet. But before I did that, I had a mechanical water temp and put it in the back side of the block, or the back of the head on this side. I just take that out and screw this in, and then your mechanical sensor goes in there. Another thing with the transmission temperature, if you want to run a mechanical transmission temp sensor that I'm also running in my CUDA, because this was before I did the OBD port thing and tablet, which, like I said, I'll show you. You can get the electric transmission temp also, but you're gonna put your mechanical transmission temp in this port right here on the 4060. Should be the same for the 4080. But that's the best I can think of. This also came out of a 6.0, so every 99 to early 07 GM 3/4 ton has hydro boost, and this would go to the hydro boost. On your half tons, you only have return and high pressure, but you just cap this if you're going to use this power steering pump. That's your factory water temp sensor. This one obviously needs to be replaced, but you always want to make sure you have the factory sensors plugged in. So me not knowing on my CUDA, I took this out and put the mechanical gauge in here. Well, you can't do that, because then the computer doesn't know the temperature of the coolant, and then it doesn't run properly air fuel ratio wise. So that's about it. I'm not sure I'm gonna put the engine transmission in today. Like I said, it doesn't matter. I'm still waiting on parts from the guy, so hopefully tonight I'm not laying down thinking about the stuff I should have said and then having to put it in the next video. So I'm just trying to think here without taking up too much video time because I'm not editing none of this. Yeah, that's about it. And there's other things, if I forget, I could show you while it's in the truck. But other than that, hopefully these videos help you out as far as a cheaper parts list. You can go quite a bit cheaper with headers and transmission mount and fuel pump like I showed you. Yeah, so either you'll see more of this video with that going in, or you'll just see it in the next video. Later.